Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Taft City Council Successor Agency, our joint regular meeting for Tuesday, December 6th, 2016 here at City Hall. Would you please check your phones and make sure they're on vibrate or turned off or on mute? Appreciate it. Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Noor, and our invocation will be Antonio Figueroa with Victors in Christ. So if you please stand.
If you all would join me, please, even though I'm late, there's never a bad time to salute our nation's flag. So hand over your heart and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Figueroa, would you please join us here at the front?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I want to start with 1 Timothy 2, chapter 2. It says, "First of all, then I admonish and urge the petitions, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be offered on behalf of all men, for kings and all who are in positions of authority or high responsibility, that we may pass a quiet and undisturbed life, a peaceable one in all godliness, in reverence and seriousness in every way." Let's pray. Heavenly Father, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to give me to pray for our leaders, our authorities, our local government, our state government, our federal government, our president, all those that are in authorities. First, Father, I pray for wisdom, the wisdom that come from you for their projects. Father, I pray for friendship. I pray for their families. I pray for their finances. I pray for our schools. Father, it's your promise that we're going to live peaceable in godliness if we do this. So this is what I'm doing for them. In 1 Corinthians 1:20 says that all your promises are yes and amen. So I receive it for all our city leaders and all leaders in our country. In the name of Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. We appreciate your being here tonight. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Miller?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Noor?
Here.
Councilmember Cryer?
Here.
Councilmember Bryant?
Here.
And Councilmember Hill?
Here.
First item on the agenda tonight is a public hearing zoning ordinance amendment 2016-21, electric vehicle charging stations. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. On April 11, 2016, Mayor Miller signed a settlement agreement regarding the Sierra Club's suit against the City of Taft for the general plan that was adopted on June 22, 2010. The Sierra Club and the city reached an agreement without going to hearing. The agreement including conditions the city must complete. The city agreed to further the use of alternative fuel-powered vehicles by working on reducing fleet vehicles to electric hybrids and electric vehicles where they were feasible. Additionally, the city agreed to amend zoning ordinance to encourage more electrical vehicle charging stations within the city. Attached is the amended section 61224, chapter 12, title 6 of the Taft zoning ordinance, which is the final ordinance amendment needed to comply with the settlement agreement. The amendment requires new and expanding service stations developments to include an EV charging station at the rate of one station per fuel pump, no matter the type of fuel. EV charging stations will be required to be a minimum level 2 240 volt facility, which would charge most electric vehicles in approximately 3 to 7 hours. On October 19, 2016, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on the amendment. After reviewing and considering the findings for the approved, voted 2-2, which results in the commission not commending approval to the City Council. City commissioners voted views that the amendment has a forced additional cost on new developments. However, staff recommends the City Council hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution recommending the approval of the City Council of Zoning Ordinance Amendment Number 2016-21, an amendment of Section 61224, Title 6 of the Taft Municipal Code, establishing regulations for installation of EV charging stations at new service stations.
The recommendation is to conduct a public hearing. I have now opened the public hearing, and if anybody wishes to come forward, we appreciate hearing from you on this matter. Seeing that there's nobody coming forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve and amend the City of Taft Municipal Code entitled an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Taft approving Zoning Ordinance Amendment Number 2016-21, an amendment of Section 6-12-24 of Title 6 of the Taft Municipal Code, establishing regulations for the installation of EV charging stations at new service stations for first reading by title only, and reading of such be waived.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Knorr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to make it clear to everybody out there, this is part of a settlement that we reached with the Sierra Club. Those of you who aren't familiar with the Sierra Club, what they like to do is they like to go all about the state of California and sue every municipality given any opportunity about any little thing. That's just about the bottom line. And we had to do this. Also, there are state laws that require that landlords install these charging stations if their tenants actually purchase an electric vehicle. That's all a part of the Go Green movement here in the state of California. I do not see an abundance of electric vehicles going up and down the streets of the city of Taft or doing business here, or certainly on a commercial scale, for quite some time. But that's just me. So this is housekeeping. It is necessary. That doesn't mean that I believe it's going to do us any good. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe Mr. Knorr hit it right on the head, and it's unfortunate that a organization which, at its root, at its origins, has with such a noble cause that the Sierra Club has, can go around legally extorting the taxpayers of this state. The cell phone agrees. You hear the applause in the gallery there, but that's what it is: legal extortion. That's what these folks have done to the taxpayers of Taft, and it's unfortunate but necessary that we pass this. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Hill.
I just concur. It is sad that we have to do this, but for those driving an electric car, good for them.
Councilmember Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question. For each pump, a new station for each pump, that have one charging station for each pump they have. They have like a, 3 different grades or 4 different grades. That have 4 pumps for each one of them.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to the planning director for that question, Mr. Cryer.
Thank you, Councilmember Cryer, Mark Staples, Planning Director. The ratio is 1 electric charging station for every 4 pump stations. Okay. So it's not the separate grades. So if it's 2, as soon as you get to that 1, it's the pumps 1 through 4. It's 1, 5 through 8, 2, 9 through 12, 3. So that's how the ratio works. Okay. So whether it's diesel, various grades of regular or other fueling type stations, because usually they come in pairs. So once you get to 4, you need that 1, and the ratio just continues from there.
That means you're having to provide parking spots, basically, for the charging.
Well, I wasn't intentionally silent on that with the amendment, but I don't see an issue with the station just going on the parking that's provided at any given station. I wouldn't consider that a taking away of a required parking space of the market that might be there. That just is a service, because the level 2 is kind of a topping off type rate that they would charge the vehicle as it is. Not even topping off, but just maintaining the level they have, putting a couple more miles on it. Because as you may have looked in the attachments, I provided the level 3s, which are ridiculously expensive.
They can charge
that do it
for
quick. They do it quick, but it's unrealistic for everybody from government to private sector to anything.
One of the questions I have, are these in place now in other communities? And how are they structuring the charging, the cost to the, when you plug in, I'm sure it's not free, I wouldn't imagine.
Probably most are doing what we're in the process of doing. Our assistant city manager, Mr. Boyer, helped in getting the station that's just outside City Hall here to the east. And at first, you probably want to see how much it's being used. But most of these stations have or setups, if you will, have a remote metering, I guess you could say, where you can measure it and then you can determine what a appropriate cost would be based on the bill you're getting for PG&E.
So we keep an eye on the one we have here to see how much cost we're incurring. And there's a app that you can start charging people.
Yeah.
So they'd have to get on their app and turn it on.
And there's apps that tell you every station that's up and down the state and each level that they may be.
Yeah.
So the people who are in those cars, hopefully they're in the know and have those apps as well.
Dave was right. The one out there, we've had it there for 3 months. It's only cost us probably a few bucks, so it's not being used very much.
Well,
Are
isn't
you have
there-
any other questions?
Well, I just want to say is what's the cost for each station to put in there about for an average?
I believe the cost of the unit and installation was $6,000 to $7,000.
It's a minimal amount.
It does depend on the level, but the one we installed was, the actual unit was 700. Oh,
It's
$700.
about 6,000, but if you're doing the construction, it'll be less.
Yeah.
That's all I have. It's just want to concur with our fellow council members. I agree with what their comments were. Thank you.
I have a question. The average electric car, what is the mileage span in one charging?
Less than 100 miles.
Yeah, less than 100 miles.
So you really almost can't go to Bakersfield and back.
No, there's only one.
So we're going to have an
One level
awful
three.
lot of people in Taft wanting to have these cars so that they can charge halfway between.
Well, I raised that very question at a League of Cities seminar, and I was told that that's where you need to get charging stations out on the highway. So,
so you can
when we
sit on
drive
the
to
highway?
Bakersfield and we drive back, then we stop out at Enos Lane
For 3
and sit
hours.
there
For 2
for
hours.
45 minutes, charge your car up
great.
so you can make it home. And that, for them, they thought that was the convenient way to go.
And I should stay on the side of the road for 3 hours doing that? in the
There you
middle
go.
of the night? Okay.
Well,
I
just-
recommend electric hybrids.
just
They get you
curious.
300 plus
There's only a
miles.
couple
You're
of
good there.
car models that get more than 80 miles.
Well, they do have the
charge.
plug-in hybrids that have the gas engine that they're charged to.
We have a couple of electric cars here, and we're using this to charge them, or do we have something separate?
Interesting.
Well, my comments on this is that the original suit from the Sierra Club was regarding our general plan, and they didn't like what was in our general plan. And part of our general plan was we were going out a sphere of influence out to South Lake Road and the industrial area out there, and then we were talking about expanding our boundaries out there, our city limits, and that was part of our general plan. Well, they didn't like that because they said that was urban sprawl. So we've been in a lawsuit with them for 4 years over this urban sprawl stuff, and then that kind of, we withdrew and said, okay, we'll bring our sphere of influence back closer to Taft. And the water issues and the urban sprawl issues went away. But to settle up with them, either go to court and spend a couple $100,000 or more to fight the lawsuit, was they come back and now they want us to have electric fleet in our for the city, and then to put these charging stations in. So we went from urban sprawl to electric charging stations, and that's what we had to do to settle up. So that's why we have this ordinance. And if we don't do this, then we're back in court with them and spend a whole bunch of money that we don't want to spend. So we're kind of forced to do this, and we're not happy about it, but it was part of the settlement to get them off our backs. That's where I am. Anybody else have any other comments?
No, sir.
Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Mr. Mayor, before you do, may I make a brief statement?
Sure.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I was at the Planning Commission where this matter did not pass by a vote of 2-2. One person was absent. And I'll let the planning commissioners speak for themselves. However, it was my strong impression, being there for the entire time, that the two individuals who voted no were voting no merely as a protest because they disagreed with the Sierra Club's actions, and not because they disagreed with the city's actions or with the settlement or with necessarily even with the passage of the zoning ordinance. They were expressing frustration with the Sierra Club.
Well,
That makes what? How many people on the planning commission? 5? That'll make 10 of us.
That's right.
yeah, we're all having the same kind of frustration. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Noor,
Yes.
Councilmember Crier,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill,
Yes.
and Mayor Miller.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote reluctantly. Item 2 is citizen request for public comments, and I noticed that nobody happened to sign up for tonight, so we'll move on to item 3, council statements, non-action. Councilmember Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, first of all, I wanted to thank the city. If you've never witnessed the end of a parade at the city of Taft, we have quite a cleanup crew. There was a lot of garbage in our streets, and those guys do a great job. We have the cleanest streets right now. They look fabulous. There's no leftovers from horses, candy, or anything else, and I just want to thank them. It's actually entertaining to watch them clean the streets. They do a great job. I want to note that the Seroptimus Christmas tour is this weekend, and the tickets are limited. Anybody who still wants their tickets needs to see a Seroptimus member. There aren't many left. And the most important thing I want to bring up tonight is I recently went to the Masonic Temple. I was asked to represent the city to give a notice of appreciation to the fire department. Well, I did enjoy being in a room with 10, 20 very hunky firemen. That was very nice. But I also enjoyed the building. If you've never had an opportunity to be inside the Masonic Temple, if you get one, do. It's a beautiful piece of architecture. They're very proud of it. They showed us every inch of that building. It's quite unique. I also got the opportunity to spend a very nice evening with Dr. and Mrs. Ross. And in talking to him, and the last few weeks, I've had to spend quite a bit of time in his office with sick animals. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Ross is 80 years old. He just turned 80 on Thanksgiving. Wow. He may not look like he's a spry because he's kind of a quiet man, but this man is spry. And he is still practicing for a lot of reasons. First of all, he is spry. He does like to work. But he has had absolutely no one who is interested in buying his practice. And for those of you who don't have animals, that might not be a huge deal, but for those of you who do, not everybody wants to drive to Bakersfield to have their animal checked. If I go to Bakersfield, I'm usually running errands, and taking an animal over and bringing it back and then going back over is not exactly my use of a great day. But I also wanted to let, there's a lot of things that I've noticed as I've gotten older about people who were my parents' age that I'm learning to appreciate. Because when we're kids, we don't really particularly appreciate our parents. They're not quite as hip as we want them to be. But as we get older, we realize they're pretty hip after all. And I just wanted to share a few facts about Dr. Ross with you. First of all, as I said, he just turned 80 years old. He was one badge short of being an Eagle Scout. He's been an active member in the Masonic Temple since he was 21 years old. He is a member of the San Joaquin Sport Divers Club since 1960s. Most recently, he is doing underwater photography, and as of our last fair, he won a first-place ribbon for his photography. He is an avid hunter. You would appreciate that. And he has taught his sons that same appreciation. As recently as last month, he went on a camping trip, hunting trip. This is an 80-year-old man. I just want to keep pointing that out. He is a pilot, and he has been a member of the Pilots Club. He loves to ski, and last February, he skied for 7 straight days, and his family couldn't keep up with him. That's an 80-year-old man, folks. He's a member of the Taft Sportsman's Club. He was a member of the Search and Rescue, and he is still a member of the Kern County Search and Rescue Dive Club, and he has our diving unit, and he has been there for 49 years. He is a member of the Kern County Veterinary Medical Association, and he was the president of the Sierra Veterinary Medical Association in 1993. He graduated from Washington State in 1963, and he started working in Bakersfield. And on December 4th, in 1967, he opened his practice at the old location on the 300 block of Harrison. He opened his current location in 1982. And by the way, in 1982, when he opened that up, his OR was more current than Westside Hospital, and my dad was envious. Dr. Ross has served the city of Taft and its surrounding locations for 50 years, and I would like to honor him and ask for a proclamation to consider honoring him for his service, because at some point we will no longer have a veterinarian, and this man is there. I have called him at night, I have called him on weekends, and he is a good man who's serving our animals. So I would like you to consider that. Thank you, Mayor.
I would concur with that. It's typical, use him or lose him, and he's going to be gone someday, and people are going to realize what they're going to miss. So.
I sat in his office last week, and he came in to apologize for being alone. I'd been waiting for a while. He was with a patient that, if you want to call the patient the dog was having to be put down. He had valley fever. And this dog was the only child of the family. They had no children. And he was spending the quality of time that needed to be for them to do what they needed to do. And for those people who don't have animals, they may not appreciate that, but if you are an animal person, your animal is your life. And it's just, we don't have him here, it's going to be a sad day. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's all.
Okay. Councilmember Bryant.
Thank you, sir. I definitely want to concur with what Councilwoman Hill said. It's funny that she mentioned the status or the appearance of the streets subsequent to a parade, because the city of Bakersfield recently had their Christmas parade. And the exact opposite was all over social media about, I can't believe how people just disrespect their city and don't care and all the crap they leave out there. I'm sure they're the largest city, more populous, you got more people out there watching the parade. But I'm very happy and proud, and kudos to all the folks in Public Works who really bust their butt to make sure that those streets look fantastic when everybody wakes up and goes to work Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
So fantastic job to those guys, and thank you very much. Big shout out to Shannon and Kathy from the Chamber. Another fantastic Christmas parade last night. Happy to be involved with it. You know what, I do ask for the pardon of my fellow council members, fellow city folks, that I wasn't up in the vanguard with you guys, but I'm definitely proud to have spent my time on the West Side Little League's float. And that was always a great turnout. Somewhere in the neighborhood of, 50 to 60 different entries last night? Which is
over 60.
Really, really good. Kudos to the folks who put that time and effort into it. The city of Taft, especially in the downtown, looked beautiful. It's always nice to see that kind of vibrancy downtown and see that many folks parading along the streets. And the last thing I wanted to do is next week marks week 3 or 4, and I don't recall what exactly we're gonna call it, because we skipped a week, but we really made it up in the next week's training. But I want to send a big shout out and a thank you to all the folks over at the police department. So Chief, that's for you. Sergeant Bilby's really putting a lot of effort into the Citizen Volunteer Unit. All the folks, all the officers who had the opportunity to present last week, they've been very welcoming. They've been very excited. They've been very, very helpful in imparting a lot of knowledge that will really help the CVU do a better job and help them perform best for the city of Taft. And I'm really excited to be a part of it. I know it's not easy. It may not always be convenient for those folks because they have a job to do. And they have a city of 10,000 folks here in Taft and 25,000 in the greater area to support, along with Kern County Sheriff's, highway patrolmen, et cetera. But they're taking the time and effort to really impart with us all kinds of knowledge and information because they know that it's going to pay dividends for them on the backside. So thank you very, very much to those folks. Looking forward to tomorrow. Looking forward to graduation day. And thank you again. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just listening to our council members here, it just tells you how great a city that we have here in Taft. The people getting involved and all the events going on, and the police department, and working together to make our town safer. You couldn't ask for a small town like this, how we all come together to make a great little city. So I remind that we're in the Christmas season right now. We're all in the holiday spirits and stuff, and although you have Christmas trees up early, make sure you water them. Those things catch on fire, and you don't want to try things in your life. And be careful out there. A lot of thieving going on. Be careful where you all your things that you buy, presents and stuff. That be lock them in your trunk when you're shopping, and when you get home, kind of discreetly take them out and put them in your house so people don't see what you have. Another thing too, you got to be real careful now on Current Street is you see a lot of baby carriages or baby strollers running across the street out the sidewalk without no babies. So we're real careful when you're driving, because I almost hit one of those things, because it's at nighttime, you don't see them, you got a lady with a stroller full of junk in there, and darts are out there in front of you, and literally almost they hit that person out of the crosswalk, and you gotta be careful out there this time of year when it's dark early, and they wear dark clothing because somehow they're there. Otherwise, be careful and enjoy the season. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Noor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to concur with everybody's thoughts regarding our Christmas parade. It was a wonderful affair. The streets were lined with people, and everybody's excited and smiling and waving. Always a good time. We, after the parade, gathered up, and we wanted to go downtown and have a bite to eat. And just to let you know how rapidly our Public Works people took care of that issue, we went around and we chose to eat at the Asian Experience, and Public Works had already gone up and down the streets, cleaned up, some litter, some candy, some animal droppings, some of everything, but they had cleaned it up, and we're picking up the barricades, and we were able to park right in front of Asian Experience. That is how fast they did their jobs. And when we finished eating, we drove all the way down Center Street just to look, and it looked fantastic. So we cannot say enough about that type of service. That's what you paid for. You, the taxpayer, you are the customer. You own this city, and those folks work for you, and they do a stand-up job. So I hope you appreciate just exactly how good they are at what they do, because I do. And I want to thank everybody who was involved in the organization of the parade as well. And that is all I have this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And what was nice about the parade, too, is children were restrained, and instead of people throwing candy out of the vehicles going down the parade route, they had people along the sides handing out candy to the kids. So it just made it better for everybody, because you got horses and you got motorcycles and you got the Shriners had their little cars running around. So it was nice to see that the children were restrained in this parade. And I think they had some, I saw some people with yellow shirts that event staff or something on them. They were walking down. So it was a lot safer parade this year. Well organized, well run. Again, kudos to the Chamber of Commerce, and especially congratulations to Bill Black, local. He's 80 years old. He's lived in Taft all his life. He's built a lot of homes here. He's been active in the community, philanthropy. Couldn't find a nicer guy, and well deserved to be
Grand Marshal?
Grand Marshal. That's it. As I get older, I lose my train of thought sometimes.
Santa Claus.
Again, Dr. Ross is a great guy. He's like a mechanic. Either like him or you don't like him. But when he's not here and not available, it's kind of like having the hospital here. You always think he's going to be there. Then one day he's not. Then you're going, oh, what happened? 50 years is a long time to put in to it, and I'm sure he doesn't have to do his veterinary business, but he chooses to, and he's been a great guy, and he's very deserving of the council's recognition. Well, usually at this time of the year, after the elections, we would have a council reorganization. But the city clerk and the city treasurer had disputed the election results, so it's thrown the whole thing into a tizzy. I'm just kidding. They didn't have any opposition, so I don't think they wanted to vote count. But the elections office has not certified the election in time for us to have this put on the council. So they should have the certification done by the council on the 20th, where at this point in time, Councilman Noor and Councilman Cryer are the leading vote getters of the three that ran, and should be reappointed that night and sworn in. So we'll do that. And then we will do council reorganization for, Mayor Pro Tem and committee assignments and those kinds of things. So I get to be mayor for 2 more weeks. So anyway, that's the reason we're not doing it tonight. So that's all I have. Moving on, do we have a planning commission report? Jerry, will you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Jerry Livingston. I'm one of the members of the Planning Commission, picked for this assignment this week. The Planning Commission had 2 zoning ordinance amendments that they were reviewing. They're not yet up for approval from the Planning Commission, but we looked over some changes that need to be made to the home occupation permits. So for people who are working out of their home, there's some changes we need to make to that, and so they gave us a quick review of what they're looking at changing, and then we'll see those come back at the beginning of the year. Same thing with drive-through businesses, making sure that we cover. It really is just where it sits in the code. Try to organize a little bit better so people who are planning on doing some form of a business that might have a drive-through will have an easier time of identifying what they need to do. And then the last thing is that we canceled our meeting for the 21st and are having it tomorrow night. So this month's Planning Commission will be meeting tomorrow evening and then won't again until January. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Item number 5, department reports. Does any staff members have anything to report? Moving on to item 6, city manager statements. Mr. Jones.
I have none tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Item 7, city attorney statements.
No statement, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item number 8, future agenda requests. Anybody in council wish to?
Other than the proclamation.
Proclamation for Dr. Ross, and I'm sure Councilman Hill will get you some information on that. Well, then we're moving on to item 9 through 18 is the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, here we go. Item number 9, the minutes, November 15th, 2016, regular meeting. Item 10, payment of bills, about $355,000 worth. Item 11, funding to the Chamber of Commerce for the quarter of July 2016 to September 2016. Item 12, request to consent to assignment of agreement with ExxonMobil to Torrance Valley Pipeline Company, LLC. Item 13, shirts for temporary employees and workers assigned through the community partnerships to Public Works, and that budget is about $750. Item 14, Public Works staff changes to eliminate maintenance worker classification and add one equipment operator position. And that went through, and that was a recommendation Personnel Committee and the Finance Committee. And item 15, award of contract to Pacific Advanced Engineering, PACE, to complete project work as defined as the City of Taft Supervisory Control Data Acquisition Systems Project, and that in the amount of $74,963. An additional up to 10% of that is contingency fund in reserve. Item 16, report on CalPERS contribution rate from California Policy Center, and that was information only. Item 17, Taft Modified Community Correctional Facility Medical Unit Staffing. And item 18, accept the lowest possible bid, award the project, and to execute a construction agreement with Black Hall Construction for the Taft Transit Center. And the motion is to schedule $340,000 for the 2017-2018 budget to cover the final amount of the construction of the Taft Transit Center. Is anybody wish to take an item off the consent calendar?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to remove 16 and 18, please.
16 and 18, okay. All right, if there's nothing, no other, then we will vote on item 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 17.
In motion.
Need a
Second.
motion. Motion and second. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Noor,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill,
Yes.
and Mayor Miller.
And I vote yes. That passes on a 5-0 vote. We go back to item 16, report on CalPERS contribution rate from the California Policy Center. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The information provided contains city pension plan rates for fiscal year 2015 from the California Policy Center, an article from Ken Churchill entitled California Cities Facing Huge Pension Increases from CalPERS. A component of CalPERS liabilities includes the funding of other post-employment benefits, OPEB, which includes retirement benefits such as health, vision, dental, and life insurance. The City of Taft does not participate or offer other post-employment benefits, so therefore costs and liabilities associated with these programs are not incurred by the City of Taft.
Councilman Noor, you had a question on this?
Indeed, I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually gathered this information and requested that it be distributed amongst the council, and this is the proper way to do it without creating any issues. The ongoing issue of CalPERS, and I know anybody who has listened to us up here for some time knows we've been discussing it. Well, quite frankly, for some time, it has been a very real problem. It's the gorilla in the room, I'm telling you. It is going to break cities. Not too long ago, there was a newspaper article about a very small city who decided they were going to opt out of CalPERS. And they let CalPERS know that. The city was either going to go bankrupt or they had to quit paying into CalPERS. So there's a hypothetical payoff, which is typically about 8.5 times their reported unfunded liability. We've discussed that up here as well. So they said they were going to do it. Well, that little city didn't have the money. And a couple years later, they still didn't have the money. So CalPERS exercised their options, their due diligence, and told the pensioners from that small city that, unfortunately, they were going to have to cut their pensions by 60%. 60%. Not give them 60% of their pension, but cut it by 60%. One of the questions has been asked many times because I have brought up the problems with CalPERS, the problems with the unfunded liability, the problems with the reporting, the problems with underreporting, the problems with the mortality index, and on and on. And these are not problems that only the 5 of us up here know about and only myself. There are problems that they have known about for many, many years, and they have been hidden. They keep kicking this can down the road. This can will catch up with us. One of the other things that's really important that everybody understands out there is the cost to fund every position in government, whether it's municipal government like the City of Taft, or state government, or county, or special districts. The cost to fund a position is not just the employees' wages. And you will hear that those employees haven't received a raise in 2 years or 4 years or 6 years. But to the taxpayer, to the customer, the cost to fund that position continues to rise and rise and rise. And one of the biggest drivers behind that rise is the cost of the unfunded liability in CalPERS. And not just the unfunded liability, but the interest charged by CalPERS on that unfunded liability. So that position might not get a raise for 2 years or 4 years or 6 years. But that doesn't mean it's not costing you, the taxpayer, you, the customer, more and more and more money. So either the municipality or the special district raises taxes, or they cut back on services rendered. Now, this has gone before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court found that it is the main duty of municipal government to provide services to the taxpayers, first and foremost. Secondary to that is pensions. Responsible pension funding is absolutely necessary. It is a part of employment, and our employees should all be able to count on that being there when they're done, when they have served the community and done their jobs. What makes me really upset is the lies that are being told them. I have discussions with teachers about CalSTRS, and this one lady I was telling the reality of it, and Kathy was there. I thought she was going to cry. And I said, you've never been told about this? You've never been instructed about the truth? After all this information is available on the internet. But she had no idea. She just knew that every day I go to work and I know a portion of my paycheck goes into it and it's got to be there. Well, no, it's not. It doesn't have to be. There is an end game, and it's ugly, and it's unfair. So the reason that this information is here and that item 16 is here is I want to share additional information with all of these people up here, because these are the people that make decisions regarding our government for you, the customer, you, the taxpayer, you, the voter, and you, the employee. And we are trying to do what's right. And in order to do that, we have to stay informed. That's why it's there. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Orr, and our current liability amount is?
Well, just as an example, the current unfunded liability as reported by CalPERS might well be $7 million, give or take. But if you tell them, okay, fine, I want to opt out. The city of Taft wants out. We're going to write you a check for that $7 million. We talked to them about the fire department, which we no longer have, but we still own that liability. At that time, it was $967,000. They said, you, the city of Taft, have an unfunded liability of $967,000. And so we said, okay, you know what? We have money put away, $2.5 million. We're thinking about writing you a check so we don't pay that 7.5% interest. So we want to write you that check for $967,000. CalPERS told us, well, just a second. If you do that, then we no longer have you to underwrite the losses of our risky investment policy. So without you being the safety net, in other words, we make risky investments, we lose more money, we just send you a letter and tell you, send us more money. We lost it, we had it, we lost it, now you owe more. So the bottom line is that $967,000 of reported unfunded liability for the fire department by CalPERS would require a check to be written of a minimum of $8.6 million. And that is on 2-year-old information. So actually the number would be closer to $10 million just for that one. And we have 5 agreements.
So the point being is that's just one little segment of our total PERS.
Yeah, so PERS might report an unfunded liability statewide of
and
250.
Here we are, a small community, a small city, you know, with a limited number of employees, but a lot of them retirees, and we're owing anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 million dollars. Imagine what other cities are facing, and nobody in PERS anywhere going to jail, going to trial, got fired, nothing, and we're stuck with it.
You just carry on.
So. We can't just get out of it, and we can't dissolve PERS and start over, I suppose, but there we are. So anybody else have any?
I did.
Mr. Bryant.
You know, to expand on that a little bit, Dave, just to give folks some context, $8 to $10 million. City of Taft operates on a budget somewhere right now, $7.5. That means if we stop doing business as of January 1, it did not pick back up again until January 1 of the next year, we'd probably still have to go another 6 months just to cover the debt or the liability owed to the fire department. That's a huge amount of money, folks. It's ridiculous. But you touched on a great topic, and one thing that I really try to help when I talk to people about this, understand more that pension liability is a promise. Every person that signs on the dotted line to come to work for the city of Taft, who contributes to CalPERS, that's a promise we make to them that will be there for them the day that they need it. They no longer become an employee, but they become a retiree. And you touched about how things compound that. And obviously, every year that the amount of the reported return on investment comes back 7.5%, yet in all reality, somewhere between 0 and 2.5%, that liability grows. But you did touch on wages, and every time that wage increases, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure every time you add to that wage, compounds further. Is that correct? So it's important that folks understand that. Our main goal, obviously, is providing services here to the city of Taft, to the people who live here, the people who pay taxes here. That's goal number 1. But goal 1A is to be able to make good on the promises we have made and we will make to every single employee that we've got. That's our goal. And I know that's my goal, and I feel very strongly that Councilmember Noor feels the exact same way as do all the other 3 council members. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have nothing to add.
That's when I make a comment. The PERS, they do investments. They have a committee that picks out what they're going to invest in and what they're not going to invest in. And right now, the committee chose not to invest in oil, not to invest anything in coal. They chose not to invest in anything, businesses that weight weapons, guns, rifles, and stuff. They got rid of all those investments. And now they're this recently they're going to go ahead and pull all the pipelines, the oil pipelines, especially the ones that's being contributed up there where the protesters are in the Dakotas. And they estimated in the news that because of what they didn't invest in those different companies, they lost over $8 billion they could have made if they did not pull the money out of those different entities because they're trying to stay green. And what they did invest in lost money. The program that did, and that's what a lot of it's hurting us in the PERS stuff. They make the wrong decisions and stuff, not making the right ones that make money, but they get their politics involved. It's an entity that's not good for there's no guarantee for the people who are on PERS. There's no future there. They can take it away anytime they want. Like the old saying, the Lord giveth and the government taketh away. They could do anything they want. But I just want to say that now that they just don't do due diligence and investing like that we have in what we knew normally. They just don't have the common sense in investing things. They get their emotions involved in it. That's all I have to say, Mayor.
Thank you. I have no further comment. That was, again, a report, and we thank Councilman Noor for continue to bring this forward. Because it's something we're all going to have to face. Now we move on to item 18, accept the lowest responsible bid, award the project, and to execute a construction agreement with Black Hawk Construction for the Taft Transit Center. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, were you going to recuse yourself on this matter? Was that a different?
I can't listen through this. One of the issues that I have on this particular item is that I have a personal relationship with Mr. Black, in that he is currently doing a project at my home. As such, I've been advised by council that due to the appearance of impropriety, that I should recuse myself from this item, and I reluctantly shall do
Last
so.
2 weeks in the job, we got to kick you out.
Yeah, well, I want him to finish my project first. Anyway, I must recuse myself.
Just sure that.
Mr. North, you'll take it over.
Yes, sir. Be happy. Okay, while the mayor makes his way out of the room because of that, then we'll continue on. So item 18, accept the lowest responsible bid, award the project, and execute a construction agreement with Black Hawk Construction, Inc. for the Taft Transit Center.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Through KernCog, the city was allotted $1,400,000 on the Public Transportation Modernization Improvement Service Enhancement Account Program, commonly known as PT-MISIA. With no local matching requirements, these PT-MISIA funds are being used for development of the Taft Transit Center, which will be located east of the Oil Worker Monument along Rails and Trails project area. City Council has since approved an additional $600,000 from general fund to fund the project. City sought a professional services agreement with a qualified contractor for development and construction of the Taft Transit Center, which will include offices for the Taft Area Transit and meeting and event center, bus stations for TAD and current regional transit, and bus fleet storage. City published a notice to contractors on October 21st and October 28, 2016, both in the Taft Midway Driller in Bakersfield, California, on each date, which bids were due at 2 p.m. on November 22nd, 2016. Project manual, which includes specifications, plans, were made available electronically through various builders exchange online bid listings. Hard copy prints were available through Blueprint Services in Bakersfield. Bid packages were to include a signed bid proposal with a bid amount and complete bidder's bond, withheld contract fund certification, non-collusion affidavit, subcontractors list, and a signed acknowledgement of the only addendum issued during the bid period on November 18, 2016. A total of 5 bids were received. The following is a listing of the 5 bids received. Blackhawk Construction, $2,175,500. Simile Services, $2,284,000. Classen Corporation, $2,349,000. Wallace and Smith, $2,400,000. Federal Solutions Corporation, $2,561,000. Blackhall Construction is presumed the lowest responsible bidder at $2,175,000 with all required attachments filled out, signed, and notarized as appropriate. E.T. Mizia grant funds and the general fund contribution totals $2 million. City has spent $7,981 on preliminary design work with MIG in 2015. The total approved design services agreement for $154,365 with the Radian Design Group for design development, schematic design, construction drawings, agency review, bid package, construction management, landscape architect, design services, and rendering of the final design. The remaining budget for the project minus MIG Radian Services is $1,837,653, resulting in a $337,846 project deficit to the apparent low bidder. Below is a summary of the project funding sources. PT Mizia of $1.4 million, the TAF fund $600,000, subtotal $2 million, MIG at $7,981, Radian Group at $154,000. Blackhall's bid is $2,175,500 for construction. Contract bid total amount $2,337,000. Projected deficit of $337,000. After consulting with the Radian Design, the city manager and public works director had determined that the $2,175,000 bid is accurate. Assumed cost for the construction of the project. Radian provided similar but lower estimate cost earlier in the design processes prior to the event area expansion in size and the roof extended over the outdoor event center. The prior estimate, current bid, both represent a cost that includes all features that the city council and staff expected from the transit center. The architectural style reflected the train depot elements of a gable roof, standing seam, metal roof material, metal wall siding, exterior and interior exposed architectural roof trusses, skylight, clock tower on the main roof ridge, and the event room that'll hold up to 123 people with an exterior event that holds up to 100 people. There are potential cost-cutting alternatives for the project, such as switching roofing material to composite to asphalt shingle, an all stucco exterior, removing extended roof over the exterior event area, and removing the clock tower. However, these actions have been weighed by the city manager and planning director and both significantly take away from the overall design and the character of the transit center. It is recommended that the city council accept the lowest responsible bid, award the project, and execute a construction agreement with Blackhall Construction Incorporated. Direct city manager schedule an amount at least equal to the project deficit for the 2017-18 budget year. Construction schedule anticipates project completion at the end of June of 2017, possibly early July 2017. Final payment to Blackhall Construction will most likely occur in the next budget cycle, which provides the opportunity for additional construction costs to not affect the 16-17 budget year.
Thank you very much. That was quite a report right there. A lot of numbers. And I don't expect that anybody or everybody captured all of those numbers, at least committed to memory. But here it is. Let's get down to brass. And let me ask this of the city attorney first. In order to discuss, and mostly we're going to discuss the $340,000, do we need to move forward with the first motion to accept the lowest responsible bid?
Yes, make the motion a first, a second, and then everyone can discuss it.
All right, thank you very much. All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the lowest responsible bid, award the project, and execute a construction agreement with Blackhall Construction, Inc. for the Taft Transit Center.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Obviously, we need this to be able to discuss this. So if you all would hold back on your discussion until we go through the second motion.
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. That being the case then, I have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Okay, so
Oh, I'm sorry. I had in mind that you would combine both motions into one, and then everyone could discuss it, and then you could vote on it.
Okay.
But if you want to do them individually, that's fine too.
Okay, well then I'll go ahead and I'll move forward with the second motion. All right. Also at this time, I would entertain a motion to direct the city manager to schedule $340,000 for the 2017-2018 budget year to cover the final payoff amount for the construction of the Taft Transit Center.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Now then, okay. So, let me begin, if I may, since I pulled this from the agenda. We have discussed this at great length, this being the event center / transit center. We've discussed the funding, where it came from, and the fact that the city opted to go ahead and enhance the original transit center project. The idea and the thought process behind that was to go ahead and seize this wonderful opportunity to enhance the venue that is Rails to Trails. This is a venue that includes the Oil Workers Monument, the surrounding grounds, the Rails to Trails itself, our brand new hotel, motel downtown, and all of the wonderful things that happen in that venue. The transit center was going to be built and needed to be built, but another one of the great considerations was when we build that, that's going to be the background for the Oil Workers Monument. And we all felt it very important, and I believe that the Oil Workers Monument Committee, as did everybody in this city I have spoken with, that we didn't just build a boring, detracting building that was actually going to be an ugly background for the Oil Workers Monument. We thought about the architecture that was proposed for the transit center. We thought about the materials. We thought about, obviously, the design portions of it, as well as the colors. A great deal of discussion and a great deal of consideration went into this so that we did not detract from something that we had spent so much time and money on already, and we're all so very proud of. And in doing so, we have come up with the design that was sent out and bid on. Now, as it appears, having gotten all the bids back, and the bids for the 5 different qualified bidders were not that far apart when you think about the entire range, and it's a fairly substantial project. So they came in pretty close. Some of the things that we thought about too, and some of the materials and some of the features of the building that we had designed into the building will prevent us from having to perform maintenance on this building for decades to come. Now, when you build something like this, you can do it with less expensive materials, whether it's asphalt roofing, and asphalt roofs, we all know, come in rolled in 10-year and 20-year and 50-year and all those types of things, as well as the flooring, as well as the siding. When you do construction of these jobs and you do large maintenance, you pay prevailing wage. Thank you, Davis-Bacon Act, and that is what happens to your tax dollars. And the large-scale fixes that come with a building like this, if you take shortcuts on the building end of things, on the new construction, you're building a budget hit into the future. And that budget hit is not going to be less expensive than it is today. Absolutely not. It's going to be more expensive. So all of those things we talked about at length, and I just kind of want to lay the groundwork out there for everybody about why it is what it is and the thought process that we had. This venue will be a wonderful jewel for the city of Taft. Truly it will be. And it will attract people, and it will enhance the downtown, and it will bring people and focus and pride and money into our community based on the way it has been designed. So now then, at this point in time, I don't mean to be overly wordy, but we will discuss the extra $340,000. I pulled this off the budget because I thought it important that we talk about it in open session. We need to be transparent about this. We need to be transparent about the project and the way we think about it. And then lastly, before I invite all the other members of the council to discuss this, I do want to say that I'm very proud of the city of Taft for one more reason, and it's important we talk about that, and that is the fact that we are not selling bonds to build this building and enhance our community. We are not borrowing money. We are not passing additional sales taxes. We are not kicking the can down the road. We have worked very hard, we as a city, as a group, and been responsible with our money, and we are going to spend our savings. We're going to work hard, pay our bills, save our money, and then enhance our community with money that we have. It's kind of a novel concept in government, but we're quite proud of the opportunity to be able to do just that. And that's enhancing this community for many, many years to come. So then, I will let Renee, Councilwoman Hill, who had one of the motions, speak at this time. So, Councilwoman Hill.
Actually, I'm very excited about this project. I mean, I know we needed to have the transit center, but by putting the thought and the care that we have all put into this, I don't know if everybody realized we're going to have an event center that's going to be beautiful. This is an additional place for us to have large parties, large conventions, large meetings, wedding receptions. We are going to be able to, if I understand right, it's going to be 100 inside with the ability to open the doors up for 300. Is that about right?
122 inside.
All total, you're looking at 220, 230 people in the event center portion.
And when we open this up, we're going to have a view of our beautiful monument. This is going truly a jewel in our city's little crown, and I'm very proud to be a part of this, and I'm very excited. And again, the other part that is very, very exciting, like you said, we have this money in the bank, and it's very exciting. We are actually going to spend money we have, and we're not going to get ourselves in bigger debt. So I'm very excited to be a part of it, and glad we can do it.
Well, thank you very much. Councilman Bryant.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, thank you. You hit the nail on the head when you said, pay now or pay later. You skimp now, you're going to pay out the nose later, and it's going to be compounded by the fact that you're subject to Davis-Bacon, you're subject to prevailing wage and things like that. No offense to my construction-loving friends here in the audience, but we'd rather pay you now for quality work than have to pay you to come back and fix crap work later on. Sorry for the curt language, but that's a fact of the matter, the way it works out. I believe in this project wholeheartedly. I came on, obviously, with Councilwoman Hill 2 years ago, and this project was already in the works, wasn't to the scale or to the finality that it is at this point, and I'm happy and proud to have been a part of that. All the work, credit and all that really goes to Mark and you folks. We've just been kind of the conduit, but you guys have put a lot of effort into this. I'm happy and proud to support this project. I think it's very important to note that the City of Taft's investment in the downtown, not just on Rails to Trails, which is very important, but the entire downtown, from Kern Street to Main, 10th to 2nd, the hub of the City of Taft. That is it. I'm happy and proud to know that we're putting our money where our mouth is, and we're saying, hey, you guys want to come and develop in here? You know what? We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to put the city and the taxpayers' money where our mouth is. Put a beautiful venue with a beautiful backdrop to ultimately show that this is the civic center of the town. And I'm really proud and happy to see it come to fruition. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you very much. Councilman Cryer.
Thank you. A lot of this, I give credit to Craig Jones from KernCog. We put a lot into it to get this through. Because, being a member of KernCog, he did all the legwork, did almost everything. I already just vote yes. It was a simple part. But I understand we're in a time constraint right now. If we don't get this voted today, we have.
The fact is the city of Taft took a large portion of this money out of other cities' pockets that were proposing projects. As I pointed out at the groundbreaking, there was a point a few years back where we had to be real conservative with our money. We didn't have any extra money to put with this project. So we put the project on the back burner. At that time, we only had $1 million. We were able to gain another $400,000 PT Mizia funds because folks at KernCog believed in this project. And then from there, things got a little better with the city budget. There was a lot of charrettes and things that we've done that pointed out that we need an event center that'll hold over 200 people. We have some venues here in Taft, but they're not very large, so that's where we got into the planning phases of this. And so we pushed it off a few years. Of course, other cities are asking, is Taft going to ever spend that money? we are going to spend it, and it's going to be a good project. But yes, you're correct. There are some timelines. They would like to see it done by July 1st of 2017, but we do have some time after that if we need it. But KernCog would like us to have it wrapped up as soon as possible.
The extra cost is basically additional things are going to the building.
Well, when this originally started out, there was a small meeting room for about 30 people where you could have a meeting or a luncheon or something like that, plus the transit offices, plus the parking lot. And it's the same thing when they built the hotel. We tried to get them to build a large event center, and they said that, that they didn't think it would be sustainable, so they chose not to. Now they wish they would have. But now they have a small 30-room they use for their breakfast room. So through discussions and previous planning, we found the need, so we just started looking into it more, and it just made more sense. And it kind of, it being next to the oil worker monument, we didn't want it to take away from the oil worker monument by putting a plain, long building there that was just like a plain hall. So the more period correctness, I guess, we added to the building, and the exposed beams and the gables and the, added to the cost, obviously. But again, it's going right next to one of our biggest assets here in the community, our oil worker monument. So
I think it's a great deal for being more versatile. And also it's a great spot for weddings and different activities with the oil field monument. The only concerns I have coming from a couple of nonprofits was they'll be competing the board and the run club and rotate that maybe competing a little bit for that.
yeah, I mean, there's some concern there, but again, this is going to be a larger venue that if you had a smaller venue, I don't think this venue would probably fit your, if you're looking at a crowd of 50 to 120, you're probably going to go for some of the other venues that are available, and they'll probably be a little cheaper than this venue.
This is some of the concerns that brought to my attention, but I think it's a great venue for people here for a change, and a good project for our citizens, and like I say, it'll go down for many decades down the road. We have a beautiful building there and very low maintenance, and so that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Well, it sounds like consensus is support of the council, and I'm glad to hear that, because like I say, our intent was to enhance the venue that we have already. When the hotel was built, they talked about the larger convention area and being able to hold larger meetings, whether those gatherings were related to Oil Dorado or some type of oil symposium or weddings or whatever the case may be. To be able to do it on the side that we're doing it is going to bring people out of that hotel. That's the walkable community, alternative transportation. Once we get them out and they enjoy that, then we can get them downtown. It's not far away. It's easy. You can walk downtown and get a cup of coffee, and you can look at the shops, you can enjoy a movie, so many things. We're going to bring people into the community. And we might not have to bring them from very far away. It could be as close as Bakersfield. Anyway, what we wanted to do, and what I wanted to do when we took this off the consent agenda, was talk about this and bring it out. And the more you know about this project, and the more you know about what we're going to do for this community, the more you will become excited about it. I know when I say you, I mean the stakeholders, the owners, the customer, the taxpayers, the people who live here. So I too am very excited. So at this time, I have motions and seconds on both motions.
Correct.
No more discussion?
More discussion.
May we have a roll call, please?
All right, let's do a roll call on the first one and then on the second one.
Okay.
Okay, roll call on the first motion.
Mayor Pro Tem Noor,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hill.
Yes.
That passes on a 4-0 vote, with the mayor having to abstain. Motion number 2.
Mayor Pro Tem Noor,
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill.
Yes.
And that passes on a 4-0 vote, with the mayor having to abstain as well. Thank you all for your time. I see the chief is going to hearken to the mayor to come back and resume his position. And you'll pass this on down to him.
You were here to vote on it, probably would have passed.
The swing vote, Mr. Mayor.
Did we vote on it?
We voted on it, Mr. Mayor, and it was unanimous vote on both motions, and it was approved 4-0-4-0.
Well, I don't know exactly what was said here, but I'm really proud that a local contractor that does quality work, that does multi-million-dollar jobs throughout Kern County, and I'm sure beyond, that can do a little bathroom remodel at my house. And we know that it will be a quality job and get done and done right. But, I believe that we had about 10 contractors looking at this, didn't we?
Initially, they pulled the package, but only the ones listed in the.
So we had 5 bidders, and then Blackhall become a little bid. So it's got to say something that Glenn Black's here in the audience tonight, that he chooses to live in Taft, and he doesn't just reside here too. So I want to thank the council for that vote. Seeing that there's no other items on the agenda, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We adjourn, and thank you so much for being with us tonight.